This is Take Back Our Power with host Joy Binah. Information that supports community health. Information empowering you with personal health. Take back our power. And now, here's Joy.
Half of the adult population lives with one or more chronic diseases. Most of these diseases are caused by food and can be cured with food. Yet doctors learn not a thing about food in medical school. It's clear that we need a new medical model in this country, one that has nutrition as its foundation, one where prevention is more important than treatment. In the meantime, we need to take our health into our own hands, and tending to our gut microbiome is the most important focus we can have to regain our health and vitality. Hi, I'm Joy Binah, and today on Take Back Our Power, we're going to learn about gut health and visit an exciting and unique event here in Santa Cruz, the Countercultures event, a fermentation celebration held at the Museum of Art and History. Before we head there, I'd like to give you a little background on why the body requires cultured and fermented foods to maintain vital health. And we're going to begin by talking about microbes. Microbial cells have been found to make up 90% of our bodies, which means we are only 10% human. The microbiome, which is the entire collective of human microbes in circulation, is currently being charted in much the same way the scientists mapped the human genome. The Human Microbiome Project was launched in October of 2008 with the goal to catalog all the bacterial inhabitants in the human body. Researchers have identified most of the microbes in the human gut, but they still don't know much about the actions each individual microbe or how they work together. The future of medicine will likely be that rather than receiving an antibiotic, which really literally means against life, we will be receiving a vial of microorganisms. Microbes multiply and change based primarily on what we eat and by what we think, believe, and experience. The amazing twist is that these experiences, beliefs, and thoughts are being processed not just through the brain, but primarily through the billions of microbes living in our gut. There are actually 100 million neurons embedded in the gut wall, which is why we call our gut the second brain. 95% of the serotonin, a major neurotransmitter associated with feelings of happiness and well-being, is manufactured in the gut. You know, we've all heard about probiotics by now, supplements that are taken to support our gut health. But did you know that literally one serving of fermented vegetables is equal to an entire bottle of a high-potency probiotic? It's unusual to find a probiotic supplement containing more than 10 billion colony-forming units. But when tested, fermented vegetables produced by natural cultures had 10 trillion colony-forming units of bacteria. Fermented foods also give you a wider variety of beneficial bacteria. So all in all, it's your most cost-effective treatment to support your gut health. Making food more digestible and more nutritious through fermentation is actually a process as old as humanity itself. Fermented foods are beneficial because they provide us with needed nutrients, probiotic cultures, the good bacteria, and enzymes essential for a healthy digestive tract, as well as a strong immune system. The transformative power of microscopic bacteria produces alcohol, lactic acid, and acetic acid. These are all biopreservatives that retain nutrients and prevent spoilage. Fermentation not only preserves nutrients, but it also breaks them down into more easily digested forms. The process also creates new nutrients. The life cycle of microbial cultures create B vitamins, including folic acid, riboflavin, niacin, thiamine, and more. 80% of your immunity, and where 80% of things go wrong, begins in your gut. Focusing on a healthy gut is top priority when it comes to cleaning up your health. Dysbiosis is a change in the bacteria and other organisms that make up the intestinal ecosystem, and it can have far-reaching impacts on our overall immune system function. When the natural microbial balance is disrupted, illness can result. Research is now discovering that microbial diversity is the key to optimal health and longevity, and future medicine will focus on repopulating these beneficial microbes. Raw, fermented foods are known to be supportive to the digestive system by creating the type of environment for the beneficial bacteria to flourish. Fermented and cultured foods, including sourdough, aged cheeses, yogurt, kefir, cultured vegetables, pickles, kimchi, kombucha, vinegar, miso, and tempeh, and I have a feeling this evening you'll learn about a number of additional ones. The most widely known and the beneficial of all fermented foods is sauerkraut. Containing phytochemicals created during the fermentation process, sauerkraut is a powerful immune booster and has been used as such for many, many centuries. Sauerkraut is essentially fermented cabbage that contains a vast array of nutrients and a hearty strain of probiotics. It does an exceptional job of cleaning and furnishing your gut with beneficial bacteria so that it can heal and work efficiently again. Don't be fooled by most of the sauerkraut sold in grocery stores, because this sauerkraut is pasteurized, heated to temperatures that destroy these beneficial bacteria. It's so simple and so easy to make your own sauerkraut, and it's one of the recipes I've included in my book, How to Make the 10 Most Nutritious Recipes on the Planet. So now that you have some background on why we need to include these foods in our diet to maintain radiant health, let's go get inspired to make a wide variety of cultured and fermented foods. Let's head to downtown Santa Cruz and the Countercultures Festival, a fermentation celebration. I'll be interviewing Steve Schnarr, the founder and director of the Santa Cruz Fruit Tree Project, and the main organizer of the Countercultures event. He's been a lifelong organic gardener and makes all kinds of cultured and fermented foods. Let's go down and check it out.
I made two different things. One of them is a yam cheese, and it's a fermented yams. It includes whey and a little bit of salt, and then it was left out to ferment for a couple days. And the other thing that I brought, and I personally like them together because it's kind of a sweet and savory mix, is a fermented pineapple chutney. which is pineapple, cilantro, some whey, and salt, and then that also was left out to ferment for 3 days. And they taste great on bread or crackers, or it's actually good on a piece of cheese, anything.
What did you bring this evening?
I haven't.
That I happen to know is really yummy.
I have made spiced kefir cheese, and I put in a lot of cardamom and elderflower simple syrup with agave. And to top it, I have rhubarb syrup.
Rhubarb syrup.
Yeah, I picked the
that is
rhubarb
the
in my
secret
garden.
ingredient. That's the secret sauce.
There you go.
Here we are with Manfred, and Manfred, please share with us what you brought this evening.
Yeah, I brought some idlis, which is a southern Indian fermented food. Oh, this is a camera, I see. Southern Indian fermented food, you take about 1 part urad dal and then 3 parts grain. For instance, you can use rice, parboiled rice, which is also called converted rice. And the original one they used is ragi, finger millet. So I use that. And you soak it and grind it in the wet grinder, this thing. Come here. You need to be quick on your feet. So you put it in here and it grinds. And urad is very special because it becomes very foamy. You should come by the workshop. I'll grind some for you. You can make cakes with it.
You're going to be doing a workshop this evening.
Yes. You're going to make cakes with it. It's kind of like an egg, beaten egg-like consistency. And, you can make dosas with it. So you can kind of see the same thing as the omelette. But it's fermented, a milk acid fermentation. I throw in a little bit of sourdough to get it going.
So kind of similar to what Teresa did. Teresa brought something that she made as a batter, fermented quinoa, and she keeps it in the refrigerator, and she makes a variety of things from it. So this is similar in that respect.
But they mix the legume and the grain together, so it's complementary proteins. So it's a vegetarian cuisine, so they don't have meat to fall back upon, so they need to eat the most protein-rich and healthy vegetarian dishes. So they use lentils with the right combination of grains. But of course, there's also the shift towards more modern grains, towards rice, towards white rice, and the whole thing, the same problems we have in the West. But if you try to figure out the original recipes, they're extremely healthy. So which means urad dal whole instead of white. They hull it. The modern way is hulling it, but you can eat it unhulled. And then if you eat the original grain, which would be millets. Southern India was a millet culture.
This one, my husband and I are looking at what can we make. He makes sauerkraut, so we're thinking about, okay, how can we do this hummus? It's made with sauerkraut juice, and then it's, left for 3 days. Yeah. So how can we get more of the foods we're already eating beefed up?
Santa Cruz Fruit Tree Project donated these apples, so we made an apple cinnamon kvass just for tonight.
Beautiful.
Kvass as well, down in the keg. So.
I organized a program called the Santa Cruz Fruit Tree Project, which is based on finding people who have more fruit than they can handle, which is an awful lot of people with trees in their yards, and we pick the fruit they aren't using. We do processing workshops. For example, we'll press cider with the cider press that's hand and pedal powered. We do curing olives, making jam. We've had workshops of making fruit wine. So we've also planted orchards in public spaces. So this is the program, and as a fun thing to do in the winter months, and it turned into an idea of like a fundraiser, big event. We did one called DI Wine, a celebration of home brewing. And so we had people who do home brewing of all kinds, mostly alcoholic, some of them soft drinks, but beers, wines, meads, fruit wines. There's even somebody brought absinthe. There was all kinds of stuff. So that event was really successful, and some people, even before it happened the first time, we've done that 3 times annually, but even before the first one, some people were like, well, what about sauerkraut? What about this? What about that? And I was like, well, that would be a cool event, but that's a different event. But because DI1 was so successful, then we decided to try it, and this countercultures is what we came up with, and here we are doing it the 3rd year. So, yeah, there you go.
This is supporting the Santa Cruz Fruit Tree Project. So can you tell us a little bit about what that is and how people are involved in it?
Yeah, well, again, ordinarily, the majority of our events, we're going to pick fruit that's already there. People can't use it all. In city, in neighborhoods and urban areas, we'll walk around as a group. People get to know each other. We pick the fruit. People who participate can take home what they want. When there's good-looking fruit that's extra, we give it away to food distributions. If it's overripe or not so great looking, we might give it to a restaurant. Of course, some of it gets turned into applesauce or dried fruits or ciders and things like that. So, in addition, when within our limited capacity that we're able to do, we go back and tend to the trees sometimes that we pick from and prune them. And then again, this last winter, we broke ground on our first community orchard, which is in collaboration with the City of Santa Cruz Parks and Rec Department. So all the proceeds of this event support our meager budget. It's not much money involved, but a lot of what we do get comes from this and the other big event that I described a moment ago, DI Wine. Of course, we have people that donate to as members. It's a totally grassroots organization, mostly volunteer.
And how can people find you?
Yeah, well, we have a website, Fruit Cruise, FRUITCRUZ.org. This year, there's not a whole lot happening between a drought and a very warm winter last winter. So most of the trees we pick are deciduous fruit trees. They like to have a clear, cold very cold in the wintertime, and then when the spring comes, they all come out of dormancy at the same time, and that didn't really happen that well this year, and plus the extended drought. My little baby nephew is coming up to say hi. And there just hasn't been that much stone fruits or apples, so if someone gets on our list right now, there might not be a whole lot of events, but probably persimmons. We might have a lot of persimmons to pick. They seem to be tolerating the drought. And then hopefully this winter we'll be doubling the size of our orchard, and there might be some work to do with that. And hopefully also there might be more rain. There's some predictions for a rainy winter, and then next year we'll get back into the swing of things with having people with such abundance that there's people are happy to share.
And you can take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. So it smells like a little like beer, vinegar, and apples.
Can you show us how this works?
This is there's a steamer. You put a little bit of water in a pressure cooker, and you put this in there, and it takes about 7 minutes, and you leave the bell off. And the steam runs by it and steams the sort of the little dishes with dough in it, right? Okay, so this is what the peasants in India do. They have these pressure cookers because the government at some point wanted people to save on fuel, so they had a whole information campaign, and they spread pressure cookers. In the US, they have a bad reputation somehow. People don't know it. I don't know why. I run this on an induction heater. This pressure cooker is extremely cheap. It's about $50-$60. I don't know. So
we have we have it in two different forms here.
So this way is what it comes out of these little cups. It comes out like this, and then the other way to do it is you put it on a griddle, and you make a dosa. And there's various dosas.
Like a crepe.
Yes. But there's various ways to make them extremely pretty, but you have to have a lot of skills. We just sort of make dosas.
And what a wonderful opportunity to come here and learn of this amazing variety and the creativity that people have brought to cultured and fermented food.
I think that's what I really like about these events is the level of creativity. Also, the young people. They're all ages here and all people interested in their health.
So today I've been giving people taste tours, and it's so much fun because I've been walking people through the tour of different fermented sensations. So we start off with the beet kvass, and beet kvass is an ancient probiotic tonic that is one of the best hangover preventatives and hangover cures anybody will ever try. There are 7 times more antioxidants in a fermented beet drink than in a juiced beet. And it neutralizes the oxalic acid, so it's so amazing for people who want to be healthy and want to feel good right away. And also want to have the benefits of preventing free radicals and all the other things that antioxidants do for us, plus the benefits of having a healthy digestive system because of the probiotics and the live enzymes. So it's a real kind of healthy alternative to kombucha and some of the other drinks that are made with cane sugar.
And what else do you have? You have a couple of other wonderful possibilities.
Yeah, the Pollen Up is made from raw local honey, raw local bee pollen, organic lemon juice, and we source the bee pollen from a local beekeeper who's an Italian opera singer. She takes really good care of the bees, and we believe in doing what's right for the honeybees and helping to sustain healthy hive populations. Every time you think a thought, you're burning phosphorus, and it's the lecithin-based phosphorus that actually carries that nourishment back to your brain. So drinking a Pollen Up gives you mental clarity and mental stamina, and it's not like caffeine where you get wired and then you get a crash, and it's like your brain's moving too fast for your body to catch up. It's you get the perfect energy, and it's the slow, nurturing, sustained energy that just continues to nurture you over time. So that's the beauty of the Pollen Up. And then the Green Dream, this is another drink that we sell in the stores. The Green Dream is the one drink we make that's not fermented, so people are surprised, but it's so healthy that we had to sell it because it's a chlorophyll tonic. And chlorophyll binds to really harmful toxins that get trapped in our body specifically from air pollution and carcinogenic activity. And we're always bombarded with these chemicals, and they bind to our DNA, they interfere with our cellular activity. So when you drink a Green Dream, you can basically relax and know that your body's going to be able to safely eliminate those toxins, and there's no sugar, and it just feels so good and it tastes so good.
Southern India is they eat with their hands. So you break the idli and you dip it in various sauces and eat it. So for instance, you have here
Tell me which one I should
mint
dip it.
chutney.
Can I grab this?
Yes, you can do that. This is a tamarind sauce.
Oh yeah, I love that.
It's a very sweet sour. There's no spices on it. Mint chutney, coconut chutney, sambar. This is a soup. And then there's various gunpowders. This is what they call gunpowders. It's very hot. You mix it with oil and you dip your idli and dosa in there and you eat it.
Wonderful.
Yes.
What are these fruits here?
This is passion fruits. It's like if you plant one of these in Santa Cruz, you get a couple of 100 pounds a year. You graft it onto any kind of passion fruit vine. This is, we don't quite know what this one is. It's Passiflora edulis, but I don't know exact varieties. This is Red Rover.
All right, well, as always, you are completely chock full of amazing information.
So you should come to the workshop. I explain all bread cultures in the world and their relationships to each other, what they learn from each other, and so forth, like the European bread culture, which is my background. And Lars is teaching a workshop on that. He's a master baker. And then I talk about the steamed doughs and so forth. They steamed doughs in Europe too, various things.
Next, we're visiting Donna. And Donna, what did you bring this evening to share? It looks so yummy.
I made a cultured cream called creme fraiche. You get a whole cream and you add a culture to it. And
What culture?
it's a special culture for sour cream, essentially. That's all I can say. That's what it is. It's a sour cream culture. And then this is another thing I brought, which is made from raspberries. And it's a raspberry jam, fermented. And it's got raspberries and pectin and dairy whey, powdered whey, salt.
Here we are with Victor, and he is offering the variety that farmhouse culture has to offer here. Tell us about farmhouse culture and how it comes to be here at this show.
Yeah, so they were gracious enough to donate 3 varieties of their product for us tonight. The first one we have is classic caraway. That's a very typical flavor profile with your sauerkraut. This one here is a horseradish leek. And then this one has a little bit of kick. It's a smoked jalapeno.
Yeah, Farmhouse Cultures is a local growing business. I know first they were in Santa Cruz and now I believe their warehouse is in Watsonville. They've moved.
Yeah, I actually heard one person who visited us tonight said that he can find this at his home in Hawaii now. So,
Isn't that wonderful?
yeah, definitely growing and a very popular product.
I'm a big fan of this company. As a volunteer for Food Not Bombs, I so appreciate getting some of their product every week as we feed the homeless and hungry at the Santa Cruz post office on the weekends. So he's been so generous to donate.
It's a sweet wine. I forgot to say one thing, that I won the silver medal at the county fair.
Yeah, so there's a whole range of stuff. A lot of it is the classic things that you know and about, well, yogurt, sourdough bread, but there's some pretty amazing sourdough breads over there. One of them was my neighbor. I'm really inspired to try again. I've made bread many times, but it's never as good as his. So, and that's why we have some workshops tonight, and there's this table for people to exchange starters. But
well, this is my sourdough. It's a mixture of whole wheat and white flour and rye flour. I've been making this sourdough with my own starter for a few years now. I have the recipe here, instructions. Essentially, it's flour and water and sourdough starter, which I've been giving away. I think we're down to the dregs here. I have a number of interested people. I take this dough and roll it in seeds, so it gets the nice covering and crust. It's a pretty simple process, but it takes all day. I refresh the starter the night before, and then I add the starter to the flour and water in the morning, and it takes about 3 hours of stretching and folding every hour. I keep it in a warm place, about 78 to 82 degrees, while it's rising and growing, and the starter bacteria and yeast are feeding on the flour, making nice bubbles, creating the rising. And then I proof it, and I use wicker proofing bowls, and then I turn it into cast iron Dutch ovens, bake it at 450. I preheat the oven to 500 and bake it at 450, 20 minutes with the lids on and 20 minutes with the lids off. I get consistently reproducible bread that my family and friends enjoy.
Thanks so much for joining us this evening at the Countercultures event, a fermentation celebration, and what a celebration it's been. We've learned so much, so many ways to keep our bodies healthy with cultured and fermented foods. This has been Take Back Our Power. I'm Joy Binah, and we'll see you next time.